Hi, I'm Jim, and this is my wife, Jennifer. Today's session is based on Chapter 4 of Happy Together. It's called, What About Me?
Married life is full of decisions and choices. Some are simple and easy. Others are difficult and excruciatingly painful.
The author of Happy Together writes that all choices, big or small, impact the marital relationship. In each of our decisions, we take a stand to be with or against our spouse. It's through our choices that we express our love.
Do you recall some of the major decisions you've made in your marriage?
Well, some of the major decisions in our marriage are all the different moves we've had to make.
We had to move. It was only an hour and a half away, but it was pretty tough, especially for Barb because she was a lot closer to her family.
We decided we were going to move to Tennessee and quit our jobs.
I was very miserable, and I was just crying, and I just said, "Take me home. I don't want to be here."
That's
so
something to do with
that
the
was-
cockroaches too. That were.
Yeah, there were huge I said, "There's cockroaches."
Making the decision to grow our marriage instead of having our family try to run our marriage.
Biggest one we've made was buying our most recent house.
Buying a house, along with our working situations.
Who's going to work and who's in me staying home.
We worked the two jobs so that we wouldn't have a huge debt load, and that by the time our family started coming and growing, that we'd be able to afford to have her stay home.
The first and foremost, participating or practicing natural family planning and when to start our family.
Decided to have our two boys and expand our family.
Raising them as Catholic, and at the time, you know, I was not a cradle Catholic.
Attending the Catholic Church and raising our children Catholic, I was raised in the Baptist Church.
So all the decisions that we make it with love in our hearts and with the idea that what is best for us as a couple, because we've got to be the most important part. If we're going to be good parents, if we're going to be good grandparents, if we're going to be good friends, if we're going to be good stewards to the church, we have to love each other first.
It is easy for us to remember the big decisions, but surprisingly, the decisions that impact a relationship the most are often the small ones we make each day.
Whether to listen to or ignore our spouse, to compliment or to criticize, to forgive or to hold a grudge.
To say, I'm sorry, or to walk away, to speak truthfully or to lie, to use sarcasm or to say a kind word.
To accommodate our spouse's wishes or to do what I want.
In each of these choices, we contend with a persistent voice that screams from within us, what about me? When do I get my way?
How you respond to this voice affects your marriage. Choosing me instead of us damages the relationship. When do you hear the voice inside you that says, what about me?
I'm a very dominant personality. So in essence, it's all about me.
And my attitude was, well, what about me? You know, it's the weekend. I want to relax, you know, and take it easy here. What's the big deal?
In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, you know, what about me? I want to work out as well.
I would give her back rubs and shoulder rubs all the time, and I've plainly asked her, okay, what about me? Do I get one? You know.
And in that couple of years, he was home with boys, taking them to school, involved in their things at school, and I was going to work every day and coming home and fixing dinner. And I felt like, what about me? When it's my turn.
Especially when the kids were younger, grade school age, and you were meeting their needs, and I did think, well, what about my needs?
If we have a conflict on what either of us wants to do and how do we decide, you know, and I'm thinking, what about me? What about what I want to do? Am I just supposed to give up, you know, what I want to do for what Mark wants to do?
We inherited Caleb's dog when we got married, and just through that scenario, we were having to negotiate, well, should we move? Should we move now? Wait, are we moving because of your dog? Are we moving because you won't get rid of your dog? So initially in that process, I was thinking, wait, can't I have my clean house or a condo? Do I have to buy a house for a dog?
The Bible tells us that Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden were faced with the question, what about me? And they chose to do what they wanted instead of what God commanded. They acted selfishly, and we know the rest of the story.
We, as their children, are paying the price of their choice. Because of their sin, we find it hard today to resist the temptation to act selfishly. While God created us to find joy in mutual self-giving, we, like Adam and Eve, are tempted to find happiness by doing what we want, regardless of what our spouse wants.
Selfishness is the root of many of our marital problems. Can you think of a time when you acted selfishly?
We just had our first baby, and I saw this car, this old 56 Chevy that had a floor shift on it, and I just wanted that car. Sandy didn't want it. We couldn't afford it or anything else.
I was out and I saw some clothes I wanted, and I knew what we had decided, and I thought, well, I could put these on my company Amex and he would never know.
I said, okay, and later on that day I drove home in that car. Now that car sat in the garage most of the time.
Of course, when I brought all those bags in, he said, Gail, hey, how'd you pay for that?
And I really didn't want to move back. And
one day I decided to go ahead and make the decision and tell people in Kansas before I even told my wife that we were moving back.
I pretty much said, this is what we're getting, even though I knew that Gina really wanted the front load dryer, with the window in it.
Yeah, he kind of just let that slip on the phone that, we're thinking about moving back to Kansas. And
are you gonna cry again?
I was a little bit upset, to say the least, about that.
It was the $20 lotto ticket. Instead of just buying like $5 worth like she wanted, I put 20 down.
I met up with a friend of mine who I had been to high school with and college with, and we got on the phone and we said, well, let's go out and just do whatever, and I completely forgot. Maybe I was selfish, I probably was. I completely forgot about Kim, and when I told her that I was leaving to go out with my friend Mike, she just sat down and she basically said, what about me?
In life, we encounter conflicts that force us to make choices. The presence of conflicts is not a sign of a marriage in trouble.
John Gottman, the author of The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, reports that about 3/4 of marital conflicts are never resolved, even among healthy couples. All couples have problems that keep on recurring.
Successful couples take these conflicts in stride. Sometimes they use humor to diffuse the situation. They compromise or they agree to disagree and accommodate each other.
Do you have conflicts that keep on recurring?
Last night I asked Jim that very question. I said, we don't have any real conflicts, do we? And he said, actually, we do have a recurring conflict in our marriage. And I was like, what? What have I done?
Traveling and get home, and the dining room table, which is the first thing you see when you walk in the front door, would be stacked to the ceiling with just junk.
Why do you always have to leave a half-eaten bowl of cereal in the sink every morning? It was like 5 minutes later, I looked on the counter and there was a half-eaten bowl of cereal. I said,
It still comes up today every time I look at that washer and dryer and I go, oh, I really still wanted that front loader.
Every marriage, you got to work around the bills.
Every month when the master bill comes,
He likes to go shopping and I don't.
With our son's hair, he wants his hair to be long and I want it to be short.
Raising the kids, and I would tend to be more strict in their upbringing, more of a disciplinarian.
Parents wanting to have their way in terms of holidays and trying to balance out what we do.
Time. I think basically we both overcommit ourselves sometimes.
One of the conflicts that keeps on occurring is 1, 2, 3.
The
thermostat.
Well, I guess I want the temperature to be warm and he wants it cold, so.
He sets the thermostat on 65, and I do believe Jimmy Carter told us to put our thermostats on 68.
Jimmy Carter's not president
left
anymore.
in the country.
Maybe the thermometer is kind of confused.
Temperature's an issue.
Learning conflict resolution skills is very valuable for all couples. However, regardless of the skills learned, we still have to contend with the voice inside us that screams, "What about me?"
For spouses who believe, God's grace helps them to overcome the lure of "what about me?" We learn from our Catholic faith that God, in his immense love for humanity, sent his son Jesus to heal the damage done by the selfish act of Adam and Eve.
He replaced selfishness with self-giving love, and in his death and resurrection earned God's graces to make up for our weaknesses.
The Catechism reminds us to heal the wounds of sin. Man and woman need the help of the grace that God never refuses.
In the sacrament of matrimony, God gives the spouses the graces they need to overcome the pull of selfishness. All we need to do is ask for God's help and be willing to follow his guidance.
Now we invite you and your spouse to reflect on how you make your decisions. and how you manage your conflicts. Use the handout for this session as a guide for your conversation.